Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas.
I'm Heidi Henry, and I'm in your face.
And I'm Murray Briel, saving the human race.
And today, Murray, we're going to talk about, so you decided to run for office.
Or you're thinking about running for office. Where do you start?
And we start at the beginning, and both of us were candidates in 2018, 2017, because you really start beforehand. Like now you're planning to run in 2020, so you're starting in 2019, and you've got to get off the starting block. So what we're going to do is tell you how to get to that point where you can start your race. Your race is it's a marathon, trust me.
It really is.
I ran for a state race.
I ran for a congressional seat.
And both of them very similar at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And we always start with, why do you want to run?
What do you want to run for?
Yeah.
What do you want to run for?
Yeah.
And once you've thought, maybe I could be a PC. That's a bit different than saying I could be a county board member, or I could be a state representative, or as you move a state senator,
a congresswoman,
a
president.
We've got enough of those candidates.
So I had a why, and I think because I do some motivational speaking, defining your why is huge. It is what you rely on when you're having a down day, when you're, feeling defeated, because you will feel like that periodically throughout the race. And it's okay. It's okay to take a gut check and see where you're at, but you should be able to always fall back on your why. Okay.
Absolutely. And the why is what's going to keep your head on. The why is what's going to let you look yourself in the mirror in the morning. Mm-hmm. And look at your kids and your spouse at night.
And know that you're doing the right thing. And my why was my state representative lied to my husband about his stance on right to work. You don't lie to my husband, number one. And number two, don't mess around with people's jobs. So that was my why. I mean, it was totally union focused, working family focused. That was it. And what was your why, Murray?
My why was the representative is not responsive. Granted, it is a gerrymandered district. Mm-hmm. However, there are so many voices out there that don't feel validated.
Yeah. You ran for a reprehensible representative seat, so you had my full backing.
Right. Yeah, no, he still is. In the spectrum of horrible, I'd say he's probably really only in the middle, or, but because, look at who we have to consider.
Yeah, it's not for lack of trying. But anyway, so defining your why, and then go talk to your family, because like it or not, your family is your core committee. They may like it or not too. So,
and when you talk to your family, you want to make sure that you give them a realistic expectation.
Yeah.
And that means that you're not going to be home at night. If you have young kids or teenage, whatever you have going on in your life, nights are not going to be your own. Afternoons are not going to be your own. Weekends are not going to be your own.
You're not going to be home making dinner.
No,
you're not going to be helping with homework. There are so many things that I didn't realize going into it. And that's why we're talking to you, so that you can realize that you absolutely can do it. Your why has to be so huge that you're willing to make the sacrifices it takes to run for office. And your family has to be, or should
on
be,
board.
Yeah, they have to be supportive.
I've seen, as a campaign worker, as a campaign manager, I have seen so many spouses who are okay and then not okay as the process continues.
Right.
And it makes it extremely difficult if you don't have and there's going to be times that your spouse is going to be like, I'm done. Then you take them out, you go out and have a nice night, and they're usually pretty forgiving.
You know what?
But they have to be on board with it.
And that was not my husband. My husband was my biggest cheerleader.
Mine too. We're very fortunate, though. We're not the norm.
Yeah, when I would have a down day, he would just, lift me right up and say, come on, we can do this. And we would work harder. But we've been a team for almost 38 years, so he's always had my back, and I've always had his. So that's your fallback, is that. And then you have to go talk to the people who make it happen for you, and that is your county chair. You really need to go talk to them and any elected officials that you can find or that you know.
And it's great if you have someone that you can go to and ask their advice and their opinion, and let them know that you're running. It always makes your electeds feel good that you're considering, that you want their information and what they know. And
what they know is so vast and so helpful, and their guidance comes free of charge. And at the beginning, you're not going to most people don't have any money to run. I certainly didn't. And that free advice helps set you on the right path.
And they can tell you who the people you need to talk to are, etc. So it is really important to reach out to those people, even if they're not electeds, those people who are known in your community as being active in the party.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to your local
county meeting,
you need to go. After the 2016 election, before my feet hit the ground the next day, I had not decided to run for office, but I decided to go to every Democratic meeting within an hour of my home, which ended up being the district I ran in. So by the time I decided to run, I had a very
broad base.
I had a broad base and lots and lots and lots of new friends. And we continue to be friends, and that's how I met Murray. And so...
So now, all right, you've decided what you're going to run for and why you're going to run. So you've told your family, and they're all on board and cheering you on, and it's great. What's next? Well, you need to have petitions. So petition season is what we call this time of year in Illinois. Petitions were released on Tuesday. They're officially able to be
printed,
circulated.
Right, circulated.
At that point.
Yeah.
You can have them printed before. I highly recommend, if it's a non-contested position or a PC position, you're okay pulling them from the clerk and filling them out yourself.
Yeah.
If it is a higher level position or one that will be contested, if you think you'll have a primary, it is worth every penny to have an election attorney draw up that petition, because they will make sure that everything is correct.
Well, and what I did is I just went to the State Board of Elections. I downloaded and printed in-house my initial petitions.
And you can do that as well.
And those have already been through the vetting process. Those are the ones the state recommends, and those are the ones what I started with. I didn't at that point use a union printer. It was just it was still an abstract idea because I'd never run for office before. And quite honestly, Murray, when I started my run, it was to make trouble for my representative. It was to make him accountable for being an egregious jerk. So, which is, but that's how I felt. I thought, I'm not the only working class person that's going to suffer from his poor decision making. So that was my that was my impetus. So go to your whatever state you live in. You have a state board of elections. Download and print your petitions. It's all gone through the legalese. If you want, hire an election attorney. I was on a complete shoestring. I mean,
so was I, but it was worth every penny. It was $300 for my petitions, drawing up for the petition review at the end, compiling them. It was, but then again, I was a congressional race.
That's a lot different than a state race.
From a state race.
And I also started, like I said, in a House race. And once I was courted and recruited to run in the state Senate race, the state Senate Victory Fund sent me petitions. So they looked identical to the ones I'd had. And so I'm just saying that, two different ways. And here's the other thing I did. I wore this. I had to dig this out today. So I don't know if you can see that. I always go out in branded merchandise. You have to be your own logo. You have to be your own billboard. Very inexpensive to do. As parade season comes on after your primary through, I had T-shirts galore, made up and gave them out to all my parade walkers. But that's on down the line. But to start, you want to be able to, when you knock on somebody's door or stand at a festival to get petition signatures, people should know who you are.
At the very least, if you don't have the resources to have shirts made, make sure you have a pin made, a button, a name tag. I personally add stickers.
I have long hair. I can't do stickers.
Right, but stickers work for me. So it's up to you, but you do need some sort of identifying and marking so people know who you are.
So people know who you are.
Before we get there,
Yeah.
why is it important to make sure your petitions are either downloaded from the state board
of Elections,
or
yeah.
from having an attorney look at them? Because there are very many ways to throw someone off of a ballot.
Right.
And if you are in a competitive race, it will cost a competitor the least amount of money to get you booted off, because then they don't have to spend that money in the primary.
And in the ugly race that she was in, yeah, that was really important to cover. Now, the other thing, too, is during petition season, the first place you want to go with your petitions outside of your home is your Democratic meeting and have them sign it, your committee meeting. And then at this time of year, there's all these fall festivals everywhere. I got for the first office I ran for, I was able to complete I needed 1,000 signatures or 1,100 signatures. I was able to get almost 1,600 in a 4-day festival. And that was me, myself, and I, because I had no crew. So I want to tell you that if you're thinking about running for office, get those petitions out there starting this weekend and get them circulated.
Another great place to get petitions signed is football games. You know, at football games, you're getting local people who are in your district, who live where you live. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that when you have someone sign the petition is they have to live in your district and have residency there, or that's where their voter registration has to be. So in some areas, like Heidi said, it's awesome to go to a festival, but in other areas, if you go to a festival, there's such crossover between districts. Yeah. You could be getting a bunch of signatures that aren't even valid.
Well, you always talk to people, where are you from and what are you doing? The thing is I ended up, when I went into the Senate race, Murray, having to start over again. I had 8 days to get the required signatures to be able to file to run in the Senate.
Oh, I remember. I helped you on that one.
Oh, my gosh. And I was promised, some signatures that didn't really transpire, but I needed 1,000, and then you need your overage. So you need to know how many signatures you need, and then you need to do
at least double that.
Yeah. So I ended up filing 1,350 for my Senate race, but because I did it so late, I ended up doing that door to door. And I'm telling you, that is hard, and it's cold, and it's miserable, and I was exhausted, and I did it anyway.
So, what we're saying is start now, start early. Another really good tip is to have packets made.
Yeah.
So, get 8.5 by 11 manila envelopes. Mm-hmm. Put a clipboard with 3 or 4 petition sheets on that clipboard. Some of your cards, your literature, if you have anything.
You need something to introduce yourself to the people who are going to be signing.
Blue pen. A blue pen is awesome, because if you have blue pen, they can't challenge and say that it's been photocopied.
Right.
A lot of ink pens look like they've been copied. So it takes any question of that out.
And that's something I didn't know. And almost all of mine were done in black. But I had no challengers.
I'm a blue girl.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing we want to do with those is make sure that you go back to those folks, your family, your friends, those people that you told about running, and ask them if they can help. Yeah. Can they hit their neighbors in their neighborhood and get maybe 10 signatures for you? That helps. Every bit helps. But what's more important than just getting the petitions, the signatures, is that you're engaging these people to have a more vested interest in your campaign.
I had so much help. The first race I had no help in because I didn't know what I was doing, and I learned as I went. And you learn quick, and it's not hard, but you just have to persevere. You have to persist. And as I learned how to do it better, how to invite people into my campaign to share the message that I wanted to run on, and garnered support that way. And the help that I had, I'm telling you, when I had to kill it there in that 8 days to run for the Senate, I had some incredible people helping me, and I'm so grateful for that. And
the people that it sounds like we're giving you a lot of information, and we are.
Yeah.
But it's probably one of the most rewarding and amazing things that you can do.
Yeah.
Is to run for office.
You will never do anything more challenging.
Right.
And you will never, and we've raised kids.
Yeah. teenagers, toddlers, you name it. We've been through it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's. Someone once told me it will be the greatest day of your life and the worst day of your life, and sometimes that'll be the same day.
You know, I have to tell you, I was really sick on election day, and I just wanted to go crawl in bed because I was sick. And even though I lost, I didn't care because I felt so bad.
I know, you were so sick.
But I wasn't expecting to win, so.
So what we're going to do then is, now that you have your petitions printed, we want to make sure you have them printed by a union printer. You can find union printers through your local Democratic groups. You can find union printers looking on Google. So make sure that you get them printed by a union shop, and make sure you give those union shop printed petitions out. I would suggest
most of your local printers, and I don't mean Kinko's or do they even have Kinko's anymore? I guess they're FedEx or Staples. Those are not union printers, But what you need to do is go to like a little mom and pop print shop and then ask them if they're union or if they can send it out for a union seal. I live in a rural area. I was able to order mine in from Chicago. And but then I found another small town near me, Morris, Illinois, that has a printer that sends it out for a union seal, and was able to utilize that. So and it's just these small details that make a difference.
Make a big difference.
And if you don't put union seal on it, make sure you write printed in-house at the bottom of the petition. And that's how I started. I didn't know anything. But so the next thing you need to do is, after you get your petitions done, you're not going to have time right now to read all the books. But when I would come home from petitioning, I would read for hours. I read the entire State Board of Elections site, I don't know how many times. And books, read all the books, because you have a little time coming up where, you know, you're going to be going to events and talking to people.
Now, this is exactly the time. So you've got your petitions, you've got them filled out accurately, they're ready to go, people are out circulating them, you're out circulating them. This is the time that you refine your message. Right. You want to make sure you have an elevator speech, which is about 90 seconds long.
Not even
it
shorter.
Tells people who you are, why you're running, short and quick. You have to have 3 main points. People want to know what you're going to do, what you hope to do, and you have to have 3 things that are important to you.
And you're
agenda.
You're not an omnipotent wizard, so it has to be a cohesive message. So you can't say, I'm going to wave my magic wand and make everything better. You have to give people, you know, I'm running for working families. I'm running for healthcare. I'm running for, you know, for pollinators. I'm running for climate change. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be super drawn out and very specific, and you will lose people in the details. They want to hear what you're going to do. And Murray says 90 seconds. I say 15 words.
Well, for your elevator.
Yeah.
Your elevator. And by elevator, I mean when you're speaking in front of people, when you go to Democratic groups, when you go to union halls, when you go to various places where you're presenting yourself, women's groups. 90 seconds is what you want in and out. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Your elevator.
So yeah, you're gonna have to get comfortable with public speaking, and it's really not that hard.
I will tell you, people will say, oh, I like to talk off the cuff. I don't need a speech. I don't want an elevator. You did have an elevator, though, and whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
But the reason an elevator is so extremely crucial is you will only touch some of these people once, maybe twice throughout the entire cycle. But if you're using the same terminology when you meet them multiple times, your literature is the same terminology, your website, you're tying that into your social media, that creates your brand. That travels. As much as we would like to be unique each and every time, we can do that, but we have to retain some of that consistency each time too. Because I'm sorry, repetition is key.
Oh my gosh,
to winning an election.
It sure is. And I guess what I'm talking about is when I was more of a featured speaker. I
absolutely, absolutely. That's different.
But when I'm at events where it's a candidate forum and there's 15 candidates all running for different offices, you've got like 90 seconds to introduce yourself. So do it, practice it. I used to go out and give my speech to my horses in the barn all the time because I could really project there, because you never know if you're going to have a microphone or not. You never
know if you're going to have a microphone, so learn how to project. That's
Talk serious. From your diaphragm.
Yeah, that's something that's important. But let's go back. So you're writing your petitions and you're getting your petitions done. And while you're doing that, you're defining your message, and then you need to create lit or walk pieces. And that is something very simple. It can be any size. I think 4x6 is too small. I think you need to be at least a 5x7. You can do it long ways, horizontal, vertical, whatever your choice is. Work with your union printer to figure out what the most economic way to do it is. Sometimes you get 3 cards on a sheet, sometimes 4, depending on what their sizing is. But once you have your message and you've refined it, then you put together your first walk piece, which introduces
you
to your potential voters.
And I used a picture on my initial walk piece that I had done professionally, and it was a little too stuffy for me because I'm not a stuffy person. So when I did my second one,
that was awesome.
It was a picture that somebody had run in the paper. I don't remember if it was my ballot. Oh, it was the story they came out to run on me, and I bought the photograph from the newspaper. And actually, I think I was stressed about like I am now.
I think you are too. Actually, thinking about it, I think so.
Yeah, I might have had my farm shirt on, which looks a lot like this one. Anyway, but to me, it was important to be in my comfort zone because I'm a very laid back, comfortable person. I'm easy to talk to, really, So that stuffy picture was just looked like it was selling real estate.
So you have to find pictures that you like, have pictures taken. They don't have to be extremely professional. If you have a friend who's a photographer, go ask them to take some pictures. But you do want to get pictures. And throughout the petition process, have whomever you are with, whether it's another candidate getting petitions or your child or a friend, make sure that they take pictures of you talking to people, having people sign petitions. Mm-hmm. If you don't take a picture, it didn't happen in the world of politics.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. So you want to make sure anytime you're talking, anytime you're engaging with people, if you have an opportunity, have someone taking a picture for you.
Murray, for somebody like me, not real comfortable with pictures or public speaking before. And boy, I got comfortable with it really quick. And if I can do it, you can do it. So
yeah, I'm not a big picture person. We even had a discussion about putting this on YouTube. I wasn't so excited about that. But
she didn't feel camera ready.
No.
This is it. This is how I look. This is how I sound.
So now that you are doing it, your first piece is going to be a bio about you and, maybe you and your family or you and your dogs or you in the environment that you're choosing to run in. Yeah. Something along those lines. Information about you. Keep it short. Nobody wants to know where you went to grade school on this piece. It has to be short and clear. A graphic designer is really important.
Oh my gosh,
here
so
because
important.
If you don't have a good one, it just kind of looks like a garbled mess and people won't pay attention to it.
What I can do, Marie, if I can find it, is, and I do have it on my hard drive, I will post pictures of my first walk piece and second walk piece because the difference in having somebody who knew less than I did about making stuff and having a professional do it, huge difference. And it is everything about who you are, and that may be the only contact you ever have with somebody. So,
you also have the very unfortunate job during this time of petition season of figuring out your budget, how much money you're going to need, and how much money you are going to spend. So you have to consider things like, walk pieces, websites, emails, social media boosts, advertising, volunteer events. So there are so many factors that go in. And what you have to do is figure out, okay, if I'm running for PC, I really don't need to raise very much money. I can probably play it for myself.
Precinct committee person.
Sorry.
By the way.
If you're running for county board, you're going to have to raise some money. And the lowest I would say would maybe be $10,000 to $15,000, and that would be a really thin race. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, how do I do that? Well, you have fundraisers. But more importantly, you pick up the phone and you start calling everyone you know, anyone who you've ever helped in your life, and ask them for money.
This
sucks. I'm really bad at this.
That was probably the hardest thing for me.
Me too.
And why I hired a campaign manager the first time, because God, I hate begging for money.
But I learned something. after having done this myself and then working with other people, and there are professional fundraisers out there.
Yes.
If you are
That was
looking
helpful.
to run for a more competitive race, or a race where you know you're going to need to have a bigger amount of money coming in, a professional fundraiser is a really good idea.
Yes.
Good ones are hard to find. Very, very, I have stories. We won't go into that. But good ones are really hard to find.
I can tell you how not to hire a campaign manager.
Yeah. But when it comes to asking your friends and family for money, I'm going to tell you something. It's not about begging, and especially I think Democrats, we feel like...
But you know what? I donate to campaigns all the time. Absolutely. I hit that Act Blue button and send money to... I sent money to Marie, and I really didn't know her as a friend then. I just believed in her message. So we even set up a reoccurring payment plan, and I don't know, sent you $25 or $50 a month for your campaign because I believed in her message, and other people will do the same thing for you. I wish I had, if I could go back and do it again, I wish I had been more... not aggressive, more assertive about that, and understood the need for it. Because as a self-made person, as a self-employed person, as a person who's endured and paid off great deals of who's suffered poverty. I've been impoverished at different times. I like to stand on my own 2 feet. This is not a message you can take to the world, to the community, to the people who support you on your own 2 feet. You need their support. And financially as well as physically.
There's a psychological component to that. We talked about having friends, coworkers, acquaintances pass your petitions. They feel vested in your campaign.
Right.
When someone donates to you,
they feel invested.
Feel vested in your campaign,
yes.
in your success.
Right.
And you have to remember, yes, you're doing this because you want to make things better, but you're doing it to make things better for others.
For everybody.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
That will support your ideas are people you need to not be afraid to ask.
Listen, I was going to I step into every pitch, but I was going to bat for every working person in Illinois, in my community, but in Illinois, because I was fed up. So because somebody gave me money or didn't give me money, signed my petition, didn't sign my petition, I was still going to fight for them. And boy, I'm a scrappy fighter.
She's very scrappy. Okay, so now we've talked a little bit about your fundraising. You're getting your message. You've got your committee. Oh, Lord. Figuring out what the heck a committee is the most difficult thing you can possibly do. No one really has a true... Some people say your committee should be strong financial people. Some people say they should be powerful people within the political realm. Some people say that your committee should be your closest friends. I say a nice, healthy mix of that is a good thing. But remember, at the end of the day, it is you that has to look at yourself. You can't let yourself be driven by your committee, but your committee can be very helpful, especially in times of tough situations.
Yeah, committee is everything, and they are your sounding board. They're your backbone when you need a spare one.
I would say the people who you trust the most, who you trust with your children, with your wallet, with your passwords to everything online, those are the people that you want to have on your committee. And not just people who will tell you what you want to hear. You need to throw a couple of those devil's advocates in there who are going to give you hell at every turn.
Right.
Because you need someone to challenge you before you get challenged in public.
Well, and the thing is that your committee they all bring their resources, their thought process, their talents to the table. And I know when we would meet, the things that they would come up with that I wasn't aware of. And some of them were political people, some of them were business people, some were old horse buddies of mine,
So it's good to have a nice mix of people on your committee.
Yes. I am so grateful for the time that they gave me. They donated so much of their time and of themselves. And the next thing I think we should talk about is once you get through the petitions,
we're not there yet.
Okay. Well, we need to know how to take care of those petitions.
At the end of the day.
Because
Absolutely.
Those are
One
time
thing
sensitive.
I think you need to do before as this petition process is going through, you're getting your pictures done, you're building your social media, you're getting your website set up, you are having your signatures. Everything that we've talked about happens prior to or during this petition season.
Right.
You also need to secure Vote Builder access, and you get that through your state party. And Vote Builder access will cost you money, but it is so crucial. You can go to a county registrar, you can go to the county clerk, you can go to precinct committee people in your area and ask them for their information. But really, without Vote Builder, it is so much more challenging.
And I couldn't afford Vote Builder, so I survived on lists that I bought from my county clerk. And because it was $7 for a list, and I would just go and buy lists and hammer out my walk list.
Yeah.
But when
I had to do that too.
Yeah, I had minor access for the precinct that I was in, and then I did have precinct committee people in my committee that did that on their own. I did not ask them; they just did it on their own, and so you can get by without that, because $3,000 when you're first starting for me was
well, and the price depends on what you're running for.
Right.
Keep that in mind. So it can be much lower or much higher depending on what you're running for. And each state, I think, has their own sort of deal with Vote Builder. There is another, here's the catch. There's another option out there, should you choose not to use Vote Builder, but the only way you can get access to that other option is if you have been formally denied access to Vote Builder by your party. So
Vote Builder is fabulous. It's a little quirky on its software, but
take a Vote Builder class free at any Democratic, about every other month. Somebody somewhere is having one.
All of us precinct committee people had to take the Vote Builder course, but that was going on. The courses were going on while I was running for office, and by the time I had access to Vote Builder,
it was too late.
It was too late. I already knew how to work it. So
you should also, during this time, I'm going to sneak this in here.
Yeah.
Attend as many things as you can.
Every fish fry.
Many fish fries, pancake breakfasts,
Scarecrow Festival,
festivals,
Burgoo,
any place you can. Local Democratic meetings, township meetings, city hall meetings. Attend as much as you possibly can, because one, you expend your name recognition, two, you learn so very much, and it's just really important during this time as you're honing your message.
Send out a press release. Press releases are free, and you can make those up, short words. I've decided to run, Heidi Henry, I'm running for office, and send it to all your local media outlets, radio and cable television, and any newspapers you have. They may or may not run them, but you can do that in the evening at your computer, or at 6 o'clock in the morning when you've got nothing else going on. I have to tell you, these are long days. And I would get up at 6 so I could operate my farm. And by 9 o'clock, I was out knocking on doors. So
I was up at 5 so I could get my kids off to school.
Mine are older. They were in college then.
Mine were younger back then. So was I. I was younger back then too. And then out the door, and I wouldn't get home until 11 or 12 at night.
Oh yeah. Well, because I would finish up walking, and then I would go
to a meeting or
yes, to an event, and I was always on the move. And like I said, my family was super supportive, so it was fine. But your petitions are time sensitive, so you have to understand that they're going to have to be notarized before you file them.
There's several steps we need to take before we file our petitions. One, you need to make them notarized.
Right.
Be aware that if you ask people to fill out your petitions, what I strongly recommend is also having a date set, that there is someone who will be able to stamp and notarize your petitions for those folks.
Right.
Because if I'm filling out petitions for Heidi and I get her lots of signatures, but I'm not there to sign my name to have it verified that I was the one that got them,
right,
she can't use them.
Yeah.
And your state election board will let you know the date that is the final date for filing, the first date and the final date. Pro tip, is in Illinois, there is a lottery for filing first. The first day of petitions, 8 a.m., doors open. Anyone in line at 8 a.m. gets stamped 8 a.m., and at that point, they get a lottery drawn to decide position on the ballot. So if there's two people running in your primary, and you get there at 8 and they get there at 9, your name's first. It gives you a little bit of an advantage. Well, now, this is what most people don't know.
Yeah.
Is if you can't do the first, you want to be the last. And by that, the State Board of Elections in Illinois also does the filing for the Friday, the last day, at 4 o'clock. If you are in line at 4 o'clock, there is a lottery for you to be the last on the ballot. So if you can't be first, you want to be last.
I walked in to file mine, and I had no primary opponent. And there, I passed Marie in the vestibule, waiting for her chance to be last on the ballot. I do want to tell you, though, that I just read a study the other day that said that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your position on the ballot. But
in my race, it
does.
Yeah. In some, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but I think in some races it does, particularly if you have a crowded field, or or you're all fairly well unknown or fairly well known. You want to be able to have that name stick out.
Well, and the thing is that this is not an issue that you need to kill yourself over, No.
But it's something to consider.
Stress out over.
And then when you have your signatures notarized, most of your local Democratic organizations will have a notarizing party.
Yes.
And you'll get together with other people running and have your petitions notarized.
There's often pizza involved.
Do not staple your petitions.
Never.
They will not accept them if they are stapled. Mm-hmm. And what you do is before you file them, you make a photocopy of
every one of them.
Because a very easy trick, you've already talked to these people once by having them sign your petition, or someone has on your behalf. What you do is then we send a thank you card, very inexpensive postcard, hand addressed, saying thanks for helping me get on the ballot. I look forward to representing you. That's touch 2, done, and you've got 1,000 people already that are invested in who you are, or at least reminded of who you are.
Yeah. And that's something I didn't know about and should have followed up on. I have all my petition copies. Okay, so what's going to be your next thing is you're going to have to start thinking about a campaign manager. If you win your primary, your state offices are probably going to help you with that. In my case, I did not have state support, so I was on my own. And there's a lot of I went to, is it Vote Left or Lean Left or something left? Anyway, swing left. That's what I had found my. There's a horse whinnying outside. I'm sorry, but I went through swing left to hire somebody. Yeah, sorry, I live on a farm.
Pretend it's me over here. Makes worse sound.
We have a horse show later today. I don't know when you see this, but today we have a horse show this afternoon. So everybody's out there getting ready, scrambling to get ready. Anyway, so after you get your petitions notarized and you go down to Springfield and make it a big day, it's a celebration that you're going to run.
It really
whatever
is.
State you're in, when you go to Des Moines or when you go to Madison or when you go to...
Don't ask me any capitals.
Oh, I used to know all of these. But anyway, whatever your state capital is, when you go to file, it's a celebration. Go and file. Make reservations at a great restaurant. Go and celebrate, because this is the first milestone that you need to accomplish.
Absolutely.
So
then you can check your state election board website constantly to see if you've been challenged in panic for the next month to make sure you're on the ballot for the primary. But we'll talk about that as we move into what primary season is in our next
I did not
podcast.
have that panic because I didn't know to look.
Oh, I did. Yeah, no, I did.
So I just was blissfully unaware,
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that for the most part, unless you're in a hotly contested race, that isn't going to be an issue for you. You need to kind of trust the process that's laid out there for you to get on the ballot, and then the hard work is going to begin. And we're going to do a primary season show next, and we're going to tell you about all the important things to do in the primary season.
And prepping for the general, because we're assuming that if you have listened to us, you're going to make it through.
But, never discount the fact that you're probably going to have to hire somebody like Murray to help you through it.
You are. And even if it's a consultant.
Yeah.
But we'll go through that. You want to make sure you get a good consultant, and there's things you have to watch out for when you're hiring.
I wanted to tell you that there's so many important things that go on in there, but being able to tap into that why anytime that you have any self-doubts, tapping into that just makes you titanium.
The why is so important. The why. For me, it was voice, being people's voices. letting people, much why this cast got started.
Yeah.
He's giving people a voice that don't feel like they have one.
Right. So we're going to tune off now from the edge of the Great Red Divide.
Follow us on Heartland Mamas on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube,
Stitcher.
Share. Tell everyone how amazing we are. Seriously, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And we will see you next time when we talk more about primary season.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.